will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
And we are live. Thank you for tuning in to the first edition of Shamrocks and Shenanigans. I am your host, King, and I have my co-host here, Sil. She is wonderful. Most of you know her probably better than you know me. Go ahead, say hi. Don't be stage fright.
Hello, Major Tom. This is Earth to Major Tom.
Somebody is messaging me saying something. Oh, that was you. Oh no. That's
no, it's not.
Ratty's messaging me saying I'm peaking big time and blowing out his speakers. I guess I got it.
I have. He's telling me I need headphones. I have headphones.
Let's see if I can back it down a little bit. Any better out there?
Rademacher. He's always in charge. I'm the baby.
Let's see. I'm trying to see what's going on with YouTube. He's telling me use, but that's what I'm using. Should be about right.
It's odd for me because I'm usually the one listening to everything, and I can't do that.
Right?
It's kind of bugging me.
He says, you have an echo. Sounds good, better. Okay, should be good. Yes, he says, you have a major echo. I'm not hearing it on either end.
I don't hear it on either end either.
Huh.
For a change.
Right?
That's why I got the headset.
Levels are good now. Awesome. Thanks, Ratty. Much appreciated, dude.
Thanks, Rademacher.
Now, I'm having a problem with the encoder for YouTube. I had the event set, but it's not streaming to the event, but it's streaming live. So, yeah, I'm going to try and work that out real quick.
Take your time.
Always something. Yeah. No matter how much you prepare, you can never be ready for everything.
Yeah, well, it's live radio, and it's our first show, so... Hey, I think we're doing great. Do you know how many first shows can't even get on?
Tell me about it. Yeah, I know. That happened to me a couple times in the beginning, when I was getting all set up and trying to do things on my own a while ago. It was like, oh yeah, today's the first show, and then all of a sudden I'd have something crash, or this wouldn't work, and it's like, ah.
Tracy would probably kick me in the shin right now.
Why?
Rademacher said, Roger, he might have you on open speakers. I don't know what that means.
Huh?
Rademacher said, do you have me on open speakers?
Yes. Okay, so you could be... Alrighty then. So I'm gonna have to do it this way. Okay, no problem. We're prepared for that.
He said, do you have headphones that's causing the echo?
On it right now. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's cut that down. How's that?
Waiting to hear from him.
Yeah. Ooh, I was blowing my ears out with them. How's that, Ratty? Any better?
He said, your levels are good, and so are your... He said, all good. Okay.
Awesome.
We got the big thumbs up from Ratty.
Nice. Okay. Thanks, man. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Ratty. I love you.
Now, let's see what's going on here in this dashboard. I gotta go into the encoder settings and mess around. I think I know where I messed up. that.
I gather Ford's ready. I'm sure he's waiting.
Paste that. Aha. So if I go there. And now. Oh shit. Whoops. Yeah, I'm screwing myself. I just did the wrong thing. Of course.
What did you do?
I entered the wrong key because, like I said, on YouTube, I have it set up where we have the live stream and the event page for today. So I'm trying to stream to the event page, which is what we've been using or what we've been putting out there.
Right.
Instead of just the live stream on the channel. But I'm only streaming to the live stream on the channel and need to get the encoder to... Oh, wait.
Right.
Yeah, it is working.
Oh.
Apparently. Something... I think it's working.
Cool.
No, okay, no. That's the live stream. Maybe it is. That's... Okay, I don't know. It's working. It says we're live now. Everything's good. I'm not even going to mess with it anymore. And
Okie dokie.
that's it. Okay. So, yes, I guess, would you like to go ahead and introduce our first guest?
Yes, it is Ford Fisher, my best buddy Ford, is doing a new documentary, and it's the first I've heard of it, and it sounds really creepy, but it sounds really interesting. So I can't wait to get him on to ask him some questions about it.
Yeah, I think Ford is a great guy. I've gotten to know him a little bit over the last couple of years, and I really respect everything that he's doing.
Yeah, Ford has really been good to all of us. We met I think I met Ford first when Adam was in prison, and he just kind of fell somewhere and said, "Can anybody help me get in touch with Kokesh?" And I was like, "I can, maybe." And so ever since that moment, we've been best pals. He was very good to Adam and did some good work. Did some very good work there when we needed it most.
That's for sure. He definitely has a way of being able to use his voice and get it out there. And,
yeah, he does great live footage too. He's a great streamer.
Yeah. He's definitely not afraid to be right where the action is either, and you need that. There's a lot of people who just, I guess, they're too afraid of what could happen, so they're too comfortable with their regular life, and they won't get out there and get on the front lines, and he's definitely a trooper in that regard.
Absolutely. Guy works with him, what's his name? Alexandro. He's really good too. Derek Bros is one of my favorite people to watch. Luke and Tim Pool. But I think Tim Pool stopped doing that because something tragic happened. Maybe not tragic, but a little scary or something. Not really sure.
A little traumatic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does happen, especially in this line of work.
Yeah, I think Derek got a bit shook up after Standing Rock, that when he got hit so hard. He had, his adrenaline gets up and everything, but after he got home, he was like, whoa.
Yeah. People hear rubber bullets and they kind of start to laugh, but they're no joke. Rubber bullets and the beanbag rounds and loads of rock salt, that shit hurts.
It can kill you.
Oh, yeah, if it hits you in the right spot. If you were to take a shot in the right spot of the chest or in the temple or something along those lines, it's definitely going to have a detrimental effect.
Or in an eye or something retarded. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I guess all hell will break loose this week at Standing Rock, and Derek is back, of course.
Can you blame him? He has to. That's that was his thing. He had the coverage going, and he had to go home for a little bit, and now he's back out there. It's like the job still needs to get done, and he knows that he's going to be one of the few people that are providing real coverage on it.
I know, true. I'm uncomfortable with him not having a vest.
Yeah.
You know, I can't believe we can't raise enough money to get him a vest. I mean,
send me the link to the GoFundMe. I'll put it up here right in the bottom of this video where the LibertyMovementRadio.com and the call-in line is flashing, and I will scroll it across the bottom.
Okay, I'll do that right now because it's really like I've been wanting to do it since he left there, but you know, so many people online watch his footage and keep up, and they talk big games. But I mean, $10, come on. I mean,
Right.
we can get this done. It's just not that hard.
You get 30 people to chip in $10 a pop, and you know you got $300 to get them a nice little vest.
Exactly, and I think all we're looking at is like 270.
Yeah, I think I saw
That's
it.
the good one.
Wow.
That's the good with the panels on the sides.
Wow,
Like the
that's
Vietnam
not bad at all.
vest. I just sent you that link.
Okay, and what, in Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, we have to protect our fake news.
I wonder, how can I share a URL in here? I know there's a way. Oh, program's
Genius
pretty
at,
cool. What's that?
genius at work.
Let's see, if I put this in here. Damn it. Do that. What happened? Okay. I wonder if that's interactive on their end now.
Oh, I see it.
Let's see. I know it's interactive on mine. It's like a web page that I just put up here.
Oh, I hear it. God, I hate that. I hate to see it.
It's rubber bullets.
I think he got hit. He had 6 holes.
Which means he got hit 6 times. At least.
Yeah, I don't even know if he knows what he got hit with. He got hit so hard.
And that it happened so quick, you really can't tell. You know, unless you have them and count the marks.
I just can't believe he was screaming, "I'm with the media." You know, it's like, I don't know.
They
Well,
don't care.
of course you remember, but you know, at some point, the government stopped journalists from going into war zones and friendly fire, like Dan Rather and they all used to do. You know, they would roll around on the ground taking footage, and the government made it against the law for them to do that for obvious fake news reasons. We know now. You know, I can't get enough of that, really. But yeah, that's what they remind me of when they go into these situations. I mean, that's a real journalist.
Yeah.
You know, not many of those.
No, I hear you. Most of them want to grab what's coming off of the wire from the AP or one of these other sources, and they just run with the story and attach their name to it. You know, they're not actually going to the front lines and exposing themselves.
Exactly. I mean, I'm telling you, there's not but a handful that absolutely. I mean, some people accidentally get it, but not many do what Derek and Ford and Luke do. You know.
No, you're absolutely right about that.
I mean, they run for the trouble. Luke kills me.
Oh, Luke is awesome.
He really is. He tickles me.
He's a great guy.
He really is. I think might be on vacation right now in India or somewhere. His fabulous life.
Must be nice.
It must
That guy's
be.
going everywhere all the time.
I know, right? Oh, Ford's asking me if we're ready.
I believe so.
He's ready when we are, he said.
Okay, let me just trying to get this thing posted up here real fast.
Oh, he opened us a little three-way chat. How cute.
There we go. Over here on the right, I have the link, the GoFundMe link, scrolling on the bottom.
Oh, cool. Be nice if we could get that to him before, what day is it? The 3rd? I think the 3rd is going to be bad.
What's that?
It's Standing Rock. That was the deadline I think they gave them.
Was it the 3rd? No, I thought it was... Shoot, I can't remember what day they did say. Was it the 5th? Yeah, I think it's the 5th.
Well, that gives us a few more days to get it to him, if we can get it.
If, that's the big key.
Yeah, big $250. Ah.
We'll see what happens.
Yes, we will. I hate to complain.
You know what, though? I don't think you're complaining. It's just a matter of having been there, done that, and seeing just how bad things can get, how quick it happens. You know, we've seen too many people get hurt just trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, it was like when that happened to Derek, we were all so busy networking and trying to keep up with him and get him on stream live because they took his audio, because as long as he's in eyes, he's safer. And so we did that for like 24 hours, and adrenaline was going. And then the next day, I got up and I just sat in my chair and I just fell apart because I thought to myself, it'd all be the same if he was dead. Nothing would be different. I mean, it's just, they need some protection. You're
absolutely right. It doesn't matter who it is out there, because it's only one other voice or one other person to these people, and we're seeing right now with this whole ring just how deep it is. I've been telling people for years that this goes to the highest levels of government, that when they've had all of these different videos exposing everything with the Vatican, and people just didn't want to believe it, didn't want to hear it. They just couldn't imagine that it was happening here. And I'm like, dude, it's going on in your local state and federal government, and you just have no idea. These people run everything.
Yeah, they just don't pay attention.
So,
yeah, call Ford.
Okay, sounds good. Wait, I don't think I can call Ford. I don't know if I have Ford on Skype.
He says he's on. He's waiting. I think he's there.
Let me, on Skype.
He's saying something. I'm waiting for him to type.
Yeah, I see it. I
He's
thought I fixed the post.
already.
I thought I fixed that post. I'm pretty sure I did. Whoops. Okay, let me see if I can add him to this call.
Okay.
Let's see what happens here. You disappeared, didn't you? What the hell?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's Skype.
Add people to this call.
Hope Skype doesn't get squirrely.
We'll see what happens. Huh.
What's it doing?
Trying to look him up. Oh, there he is. Okay. Add to contacts. Ford, if you could hear me, I just requested you. I thought we had that done already. Don't know why.
I thought you guys had that done already too.
Could have been the other Skype account. Because I could have swore I've spoken to him on Skype.
Well, yeah, we used to do it for fun, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that might have been a different account.
Yeah, because I started this one for the vape business. What's going on?
Does he have to accept?
Yeah, I think he's got to accept the request.
Okay. I just told him.
Yeah.
Well, we should have done that. Shame on me. That's my
Eh,
job.
that's all right. It happens. We were all caught up in trying to get this tech stuff going on. And
Oh, he said he did accept.
okay. Oh, there he is. Cool. I should be
Hello, we
able
found
to add
Ford.
him now. Hey, there he is. Add to call.
Boo. Gosh, I like our graphics. You're
Maddie
like,
did a great job.
he really did. I think he got mad at me for a minute, but he was okay. Hey, Ford.
What's up, Ford?
Hey, how are you?
Doing well, and yourself?
Doing awesome. Are we live right now?
We are live.
All right. Well, hello everyone. However many people we've gotten for the first episode of Shamrocks and Shenanigans. How did you come up with that name?
Well, we're both Irish, but we both live in America, and I have a friend that lives across the pond, and we were talking to him, and we were kind of batting some stuff around, and that's actually a House of Pain song, Shamrocks and Shenanigans. So we kind of liked it, and then we talked about the graphics, and it just came about. But we're both Irish.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that you were Irish, but you fit the bill.
Well, I actually have family in Dublin, so.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think there's just one generation away. My grandmother was from Dublin. She came over here on a ship.
Right, I see. Okay.
So.
Well, but now you're re-energizing Liberty Movement Radio here.
Yes, the fake news.
Right. So yeah, you should tell the world about that. So according to the LA Times, or at least a professor cited in the LA Times, Liberty Movement Radio, along with, by the way, our friends at the Free Thought Project, were declared as fake news. Now you do post some interesting things, Margaret, but on the whole, I wouldn't call LMR fake news in the way that The Onion is, or something like that. It's opinionated. Opinionated people with opinions is very different from fake. I also saw I think The Blaze was on that list also, which is a little bit more mainstream, but also certainly not fake news.
Well, actually, we made it up there with Breitbart, InfoWars, Lou Rockwell. Ron Paul has been added. So we love to be fake news. We're very honored. It's a badge of honor for us. Absolutely.
Well, I think it does a disservice to the notion of what fake news is when they cast such a wide net that they're including truly fake news, like satire, with opinionated news. I think it does a disservice because people then, it discredits the entire list, right? Or people don't, or they're going to associate the opinions that they don't like with this is fake, right? I happen to disagree with all the opinions on MSNBC, but I wouldn't call it fake news. I would just call it opinionated news. So having a different opinion doesn't make something, fake on its own. But I thought it was really interesting that you ended up on that list. That's probably the biggest shout out for Liberty Movement Radio I've ever seen that the LA Times had it. That's like a mainstream newspaper.
I know. We all we partied for days online. We were just so happy. And then it just kept going and going. Like the next morning, I think it was in 4 newspapers in the UK. So, I mean, it went international and it just kept going and going. And we were like, yes, yes.
Well, but now you've got to clear your name. So I mean, if all of the media is declaring you fake news, and then people are actually looking at your site because of that, you've got to go up there and maybe you have the sarcasm about it, like, yes, 2 thumbs up, fake news, and then show all of the actual, important stuff you've done. I wouldn't just wear that badge as, yep, we're fake news, believe them. That's
right.
probably not the way to leverage that situation the best.
Actually, I private messaged Joseph Paul Watson and asked him. I just said class action suit ?
No.
I couldn't resist.
No, I don't know how much purpose that would serve. But But no, I mean, InfoWars probably, I don't want to disappoint those of you in the audience or you two if you are a fan of it, but InfoWars probably deserves to be on the fake news list. Let's be honest.
Ooh.
I have to second that. I mean, I give Alex Jones credit for, I guess putting some information out there, and I guess I can credit him for my awakening, so to speak, only because he reinforced things that I kind of already knew was going on. I wasn't completely blind to it. But as far as a lot of the information he presents, it is done so in a way just to keep propagating fear. And I think he's one of the biggest fearmongers out there, and I believe deep down inside that he is a CIA or FBI shill or something.
I'm not going to say that he's any of those things, but I think he takes advantage of a population of people that are looking for the kind of adversarial relationship to the sort of the media and the government, and then he takes advantage of people to feed them basically bullshit. I mean, I respect somebody who can energize people, but at the same time, if he's taking advantage of energy that they have in them, and then telling them stuff that isn't going on, it's sort of a wasted use of energy, right? I mean, he could be educating those people on the plenty of things in society or in the system to actually complain about. So when he goes out there and, claims that, chemtrails are brainwashing kids and stuff, I mean, like, when he says that kind of stuff, he takes and then dumbs down and delegitimizes an entire movement.
Well, I think what really goes on for the Liberty Movement is that the histrionics of Alex Jones. I mean, if it wasn't for Alex Jones, I'm not sure the Liberty Movement would even exist. So he's crazy Uncle Walter, but there's some, when he first started out, it woke a lot of people up. There was a lot of good stuff. He used to be on C-SPAN, the whole 911 thing, the engineers, all that good stuff. But, over the years, it's become a big joke, like you say. But I think we all have a little bit of respect for him out of the histrionics of the situation. So.
Right.
I could concur with that. I think. Well, go ahead, Ford.
Well, I guess I respect him for being able to attract minds. I guess I take serious issue to somebody who uses that incredible talent. I mean, that is a real talent. Mm-hmm. But somebody who takes that talent and gets in a fairly vulnerable audience, and then feeds them sort of false information. I think it misaligns people's priorities. I remember that I was at the Libertarian National Convention in the summer, and I forget who it was. It might have been Judd Weiss or somebody sort of related to the McAfee campaign, but somebody was claiming that libertarians tend to be people with some kind of a history, that there's something that has happened to them that has led to their skepticism of the state or of the way that society functions, that somehow, they're the broken ones or the challenged ones who they've...
Uh-oh. I think I dropped them. Looks like Skype is frozen. Let me see if I can get them back. Yeah, lost them. Okay, let's see if I can get them back. Hey guys.
I think I lost you guys.
Yeah, I think there was a problem. Everything dropped out when you were speaking. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
I thought I did something.
It looks like your screenshot's a little misaligned there, Mike. But
oh yeah.
Anyway, I was just saying,
of course.
Alex Jones does a disservice to the entire world. That's my only in short.
Tell us how you really feel, Ford.
Right?
Nope, I'm a blunt guy. You can look on my Facebook wall. You can ask me questions. I tell it like it is.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, I think.
Damn it. Of course, everything's got to be messed up now.
I can't believe
I have to admit, though, I'm pretty impressed by the way that this graphic is set up. You've got a green screen behind you there, Mike?
Yeah, I do.
So that's pretty cool that that's actually sort of rendering live.
Yep. It's, what is the program? It is, XSplit Broadcaster.
Mm.
And you're able to do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. It's pretty cool.
Who made the Statue of Liberty with the handgun and the AK?
That was Ratty.
Mm-hmm. It looks like your screenshot is still missing me and
Yep, I'm working on it right now.
All right, edit it in real time. I like it. True video.
For some reason, I'm not getting your camera feed.
Run, right? This is the first of this style for LMR.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it really is. And we had always planned to do some kind of stream too. It was Ratty's vision to do that. So, but yeah, things are really happening. I don't know. It's just like when that fake news thing came out, everybody started really pulling together, and the team is strong, and it's better than we've had in a long time. I hope Eric is so proud because I promised him I would never let LMR go, and I promised him I would do the best I could. So,
I think he should be.
Well, Ford, your pictures, your camera's not on.
I was just going to say that.
My
Thanks,
camera's
Phil.
not on?
Yeah, we're not getting
sorry.
a camera feed. There you go.
Ah, there you are. Okay.
Now I can add you.
And then you guys get a lot more blurry.
Hold on. Give that a second. How's that?
That's me.
I see everything fine.
All right.
For a change. Got my glasses cleaned. Did you see that note I put up today, Mike? That was hilarious.
What's that?
I had lists. I had a list of a round table. I had a list of my groceries. And it ended up being, I think it read, on the list it said, Mike, Tracy, Gigi, cat litter, and Velcro. Or something. Yeah. And I was like, what the hell is this? But yeah, I mixed my lists up. I didn't have my glasses on.
Yeah, I saw that. I laughed.
It actually happened.
I was like, man, that's one hell of a list. How'd we get on that one?
Oh, right. With cat litter and Velcro. Okay, I want to hear about this documentary, Forge.
Right. So yeah, I was about to say, let's get into the meat of it. So
before I cut you off, I actually took the liberty before to go ahead and find the trailer for it. Do you mind if I put that up here real quick?
Sure.
Awesome. Here we go.
Over the past decade, computers have become more and more like humans.
Talking to people is my primary function.
Meanwhile, humans are becoming more like computers. If these developments make you excited for the future, you may be a transhumanist. Transhumanism is an international movement that aims to transform humanity by creating technologies that enhance human intellect and physical ability, and even lifespan. In the extreme, they hope to overcome death itself. In 2014, Zoltan Istvan formed the Transhumanist Party to advocate his Transhumanist Bill of Rights and ran for president, traveling the country in his Immortality bus. Istvan even had a computer chip injected into his hand. He uses it to open his house door and unlock his computer.
In order to maintain the intrinsic value of life, you must be conscious to have it, to believe in it, to know it. And so in that respect, death is the worst thing that can ever happen to anyone.
This movement could shape the future of humanity. yet the media have mostly ignored it. Until now. Would you evolve past human?
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think this is an awesome movie.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to be producing this film. Basically, I interviewed Zoltan Istvan in August, and so he founded a political party in the U.S. called the Transhumanist Party, and basically his platform was to create technology, to fund technology, and to give people the liberty to experiment on their bodies, with the ultimate goal being to basically create the right for people to amplify their bodies however they want, add new features using electronics or gene editing, or amplifying their brains in various ways, adding microchips to their bodies for various reasons, which is something libertarians are rightfully skeptical of. But and ultimately, with the biggest possible goal of a transhumanist is to become immortal, to make infinite life a right. And so he's actually, in terms of the political spectrum as we think of it in America, transhumanism falls sort of in the moderate to left wing of the libertarian spectrum. So he basically believes in the ultimate autonomy of one person, that they completely own their own body, which should sound very familiar to Liberty Movement Radio, that they completely own their own body and they have the right to do whatever they want to themselves. But the difference is that he believes that ultimately when the technology exists, and that the technology should exist, people should have the right to live forever, and that anybody impeding the right of a person to not die is essentially violating the transhumanist right of somebody to live indefinitely. So this is a really fascinating movement. There are a lot of different subsections of it, right? Some people it's life longevity, trying to just live as long as possible or be truly immortal. For some people, it's trying to modify their bodies, such as inserting chips into their hand or arms that allow them to open doors without touching them, or their car without touching it. I've heard of some people who keep data literally inside their body, such that they can plug into a computer to access like a flash drive. In some cases, people have purely aesthetic amplification, such as some people who sort of like a tattoo, they got LED lights put into their arm so that it's basically like a lit tattoo. So people are basically body hacking, and it's founded on this sort of libertarian principle of I have the ultimate self-ownership to do what I want with my body. And as opposed to, for example, transgender people who say, well, I'm going to change my gender based on that, or transabled people who say I want to become disabled as a result of that. This is people who want to improve themselves. I own my body. I should be able to experiment with it however I want, in order to amplify my abilities. And at this point, the system is not really conducive to that. The government's not really fighting this, but because of the way that the medical profession operates, surgeons, anesthesiologists are afraid to touch this kind of stuff. And so a lot of these experiments are people doing self-body hacking, where somebody will self-inject computers into their body, microchips, whatever, into their body. In some cases, basically doing self-surgeries without any kind of anesthetic, because no surgeon will do it for them. So they do these do-it-themselves surgeries. So I'm going to be making this documentary. I plan on sort of traveling the country, possibly traveling to Britain as well, in order to make a feature really highlighting the different sort of subsections of this movement.
Most interesting.
Very.
I mean, it really puts me out. It's like, I don't know, it brings up, what was that movie, Minority Report? Where they put a chip in, I think it was Tom Cruise, and people were doing self-surgeries to get them out.
Remember that?
Right, yeah, and people are trying to... Right.
I know
So...
before the show, Sil and I were discussing another series that I had watched, and it reminds me of Continuum. You know, I don't know if you actually got to see that, where this girl, Kara... This girl, Kara, it took place in like 2054 or something around there. I think it was 30 or 50 years roughly in the future. And she worked for, as a security guard, police, whatever they called them in the future. There weren't actual cops. And it was basically like owned by a private corporation. And this corporation started out in technology, and they provided everything. They provided these suits that she could wear that had nanotech in them. It was bulletproof, and it provided cloaking and this and that. She also had this contraption that was embedded in her brain or in her back, and it uploaded all of her thoughts and everything that she saw. There was a communication system, the whole nine. And it was just crazy to see that this kind of technology being portrayed in the movies, and you know that this is what they're working on.
Right, and so that's what's kind of interesting about it, is that a lot of people, when I talk about this issue to them, they start off by sort of dismissing it as science fiction, right? People sort of making themselves cyborg-like, you know, robotics, the singularity. But these are things that, even if they don't happen quite in our lifetime or in the really near future, there are a lot of developments towards it, right? AI is getting much more impressive. And one of the moments of transhumanism that is sort of predicted of the future is that eventually we would reach the singularity point at which computers will have developed so much that they could start learning on their own, and that they could exceed the intelligence of humans, or that humans and robots could become almost indistinguishable. So one of the very long-term goals of a transhumanist might be, okay, well, if I can't be immortal in my own body, what if I can upload my mind onto a computer? And right now we obviously don't have the technology for that, but the brain is a complex electronic system. And so it's not infeasible to say that eventually that could happen. And what I think is really fascinating about this is that it's not just a question of, oh, okay, in 200 years this is going to happen or it's not going to happen, but there's real ethical issues surrounding this. If I upload my brain onto a computer, is it murder if you turn the computer off? Is it murder if you turn off the power?
Right.
Wasn't there a Johnny Depp movie like that? Yeah, so there was I think it was called Transcendence. So I actually have not seen it, but yes, there was a Johnny Depp movie that dealt with this issue that I definitely have to watch before making my movie, and hopefully mine will be better. I'm not sure if Johnny Depp got actually the best reviews in that film, but I think science fiction has a tendency to really dramatize these things. But I feel like we probably, if people of the 1900s knew what technology we'd have today, they'd probably over dramatize it and turn the internet into a nightmare scenario if they were to write a novel about it. So this technology could help people once it becomes mainstream. Right now it's seen as so blasphemous and out there, nobody's willing to talk about it. And I want to make the documentary so that in 50 years, when the transhumanist party is really well known, or transhuman issues are actually prominent in politics, that they can look back and say, where did this start? What did we miss? And I think that my documentary has a real chance of being one of the definitive sources to look at for where that movement started. Where did this idea come from, Ford? How did you fall into this? I must know.
Right. So very originally, I actually got an advertisement on Facebook for the Transhumanist Party. And I'm very interested in alternative politics, right? I am a registered member of the Libertarian Party. I'm a real, interested in people who are outside of the mainstream political spectrum. And so I saw, okay, Transhumanist Party, that's really interesting. And so I looked into it. I looked into a little bit of what they believe, and instantly I was sort of hooked. This is a really fascinating topic. Now, is it feasible? Is he going to get elected? Is he even going to get ballot access in any states? No. But it's a really interesting person. And so I reached out to him and I said, I'd love to interview you, and I did. And so you can go on to news2share.com, news the number 2 share to your listeners who may not know. and you'll see that in August I actually did an interview with him, and we talked about basically his presidential run. Why are you running for president when you know you cannot win, obviously, on a really obscure third-party ticket? And it was really to build an audience for these sorts of ideas. He actually did audition or try to be Gary Johnson's vice presidential candidate. He actually spent an entire night at Gary Johnson's house. They watched TV, they had dinner, and Gary basically told him, yeah, your chances are pretty low. I can probably find somebody a little bit more marketable to the general public. But they actually did have a conversation about it. He really does exist in the libertarian space, but he ultimately decided to run on his own party. And since then, he was the founder of the party and he was their first candidate. Now that party actually has a separate chairman. I mean, it has the possibility of becoming a real political party. And what I talk about is, I don't think that it will necessarily become a mainstream political party, but the way that the Green Party and the Libertarian Party work right now is it forces the main parties to address their issues to not lose their voters. So if the Transhumanist Party became a, second, third, fourth largest third party, then eventually there could come a point at which a politician, say Ted Cruz is running for president again, actually has to address these issues about technology and about futurism, where a Ted Cruz versus a Hillary Clinton, that these two are going to have to say, here's how I as president would deal with the fact that robots are going to take all our jobs, or here's how I would deal with genetic editing, right? Would I leave it legal or not, right? Self-genetic editing. Should immortality be a right? Right? These are questions that could be pushed into the mainstream in a century. And it sounds very, very science fiction now. It sounds very weird. And what's funny is, the analogy that I use is, if you had to describe to somebody who lives in the 1800s what the internet is, you took a time machine to the 1800s, you don't have any material, you're just you, and you have to explain to them what the internet is, you probably couldn't even find the words to describe it to somebody like that they'd even remotely understand it. What will the development be in 100 years from now or 200 years from now that we right now as 21st century people can't even understand? That it couldn't even be explained to us because it's so out there. I think that transhumanism is probably the first steps towards those sorts of things that will define the future.
Well, I just hope you do fabulous. I'm sure this. What is your timeline on this?
I'm sorry, say one more time. The connection's really breaking up.
I'm sorry. What is your timeline on the film?
I still can't hear you. If you could type the comment in.
She's asking, can you hear me? Can you hear me at all?
Wow, what's happening?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we're having a problem with Ford.
Yeah.
I was hearing him fine, and I guess he started losing us for some reason. He's still there, though. It's weird. I don't know why he would be losing.
I'm losing you guys. Are you able to hear?
Oh. Yeah, I'm able to hear you just fine, Ford. Can you hear us?
Yeah, you're back.
It's blipping in and out for you guys. It's like...
That's odd.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, it's not you. It's Skype.
Yeah, because the funny part is I'm able to hear you fine, Sil. Me and you can hear each other.
Right. And we have been fine with Ford up until this very minute. So.
Yes. And this isn't even a very controversial topic, really, in comparison to the other things going on.
Right.
Yeah, well, you never know.
If you can hear me, why don't you just send on the chat what your question is, and I can reply to it out loud if you and your audience are able to hear me.
You hear him, Sil?
Yeah, I hear him. You type. Just ask him what the time frame is on the film.
if I turn around and type right now, it's going to mess up the screenshot, so I don't want to go ahead and do that.
That's what I'm afraid of. Okay.
Okay,
Margaret, you could do that though.
Yeah, you can.
He can hear me.
Oh,
okay, I'm trying.
Yeah, you heard her. She just wants to know the
Now I
time
can-
frame.
a little bit.
Time frame on the film. A general time frame, roundabout. He can't hear us.
Word.
Huh.
Okay, I typed it.
Time frame on the film. Okay.
Derp.
So yeah, message me again if you have more to elaborate. But basically, the time frame is that for the next 2 months, I'm trying to raise money on Indiegogo. So I'm trying to do a crowdfunder here. Basically, I have no budget to start off with. So far, I've received $250 from a very generous donor, but that's basically all I'm at so far. And my goal amount is $20,000, which I think is what I would need, and that's a very small amount in the world of film, which is what I think I would need in order to travel to sort of everywhere that I need to. So I definitely am going to Texas, actually, to go to a conference called Body Hacks Con, where a conference of people basically who hack their bodies.
Oh my
And
God.
additionally, I know that I'm going to need to visit Florida and California, where some other prominent transhumanists are. There's also in Britain actually a nonprofit called the Institute for Posthuman Studies that I'm hoping to visit. So at least 4 different destinations to fly to, possibly with a second person for the crew. My associate producer at News to Share named Alejandro is going to be coming with me at least to Texas. So I need that money in order to travel, get the best equipment to make really the most high quality film. If I get less money than that, if people donate at least a little bit, then I'll have the budget to at least maybe consolidate my goals. But one way or another, I'm going to try to get out this as a full-length feature movie. So that is 2 months. The Indiegogo campaign is 2 months long. It's called Transhuman: a documentary on Indiegogo. And after those 2 months are up, directly following that is Body Hacks Con. So I'm going to be filming the day after this Indiegogo is done. And from there, I'm going to have to start scheduling out additional trips and interviews and the like. And my current goal is to have the whole movie filmed, edited, released December of 2017. So I think this is about a year-long endeavor. And I don't yet know exactly where or how I'm going to publish it in the end, right? I would like to get it on Netflix. I would like to possibly sell DVDs. There's all kinds of ways that I could go about releasing it. And that I don't exactly know yet.
All right. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do hear you right now.
Okay, we heard you loud and clear the entire time. I just asked Sil for the link to the Indiegogo. I'm going to try and put that up here, and I'm also going to put all the links and everything in the description below the video.
Great. Yeah, I mean, if you're in the audience of this and you're kind of hearing this and watching this conversation, feel free to send me a message on Facebook or anything like that if you have questions about it. But the perks I'm offering on the Indiegogo are at $15, you will get a digital copy of the movie when it comes out. So as a pre-order for a movie, right, $15 is a pretty normal price. $25, you get the digital copy and the DVD when it comes out. Plus, all of these come with shout-outs on social media and the like. $50 gets you a signed poster as well as all of that stuff. And at all of the levels at $100 and above, you'll actually be in the credits of the movie. Special thanks at 100, and then 250 and above are various sort of producer credits. All of the various credits would also be included on IMDb, which is obviously the Internet Movie Database, on which I have a profile and I'm going to put the movie on there as well. But anybody who's interested, feel free to send me questions, anything like that. I'm really happy to talk to people about this project. It's something that's really exciting to me, and I want to really build a community around it. It's not something I'm doing alone. I have a team of basically 5 people, myself, Alejandro at News to Share, a production assistant named Mike, a research assistant named Mike, a production assistant named Emily, and then Zoltan Istvan himself, the presidential candidate for the Transhumanist Party, is an advisor on the project. So between us 5 and then all the people donating, right, I want this movie itself to be a movement, not so much a transhumanist movement, but a movement of people who are interested in knowing about this topic. People saying the media has denied us from knowing about this story. The media has, whether intentionally or not, the media has completely ignored this, and I think it's important. And I think that once people are aware of it, I think that can really catch on. But it takes people like you guys who are willing to listen and share that message to get that story out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Much agreed.
Mike, I sent you the crowdfunder.
While he was finishing up, I was taking that link, and if you look at the video, I just put it under the news to share link, and I'm going to see if I can clear that font up a little bit to make it stand out.
Indeed.
Yeah, that might be a little bit hard to read there, but
yeah, I'm trying to work on that right now.
If anybody has difficulty finding it, you can find me at Ford Fisher on Facebook, but also if you go on Indiegogo, the movie is called Transhuman. Which is spelled exactly the way that it sounds. So it's also easy to search for it if you're not going to put the URL in exactly.
Yeah, there's also a Facebook page.
And Mike can also put the link in the description. So one way or another, if you're interested, you'll be able to find it.
Hey, Ford,
Okay.
I was meaning to ask you how Trey is.
I'm sorry?
How's Trey?
How's Trey? Trey is at One America News. He's been reporting every day on camera, so he's doing quite well as well.
Good. Mike and I were talking about activists that get in the streets, and Trey Yingst is one of those. Mike, I don't know if you've ever seen him.
Yes.
But I've seen some crazy stuff from Israel with that going on in Palestine. I mean, he knocks my socks off. He's really... Tell him I said hey next time you see him.
Yes, I will. I will definitely let him know that you said that.
Hey.
Guys, we are at the top of the hour, so I was just wondering if we could go to break, and I didn't know, Ford, if you wanted to hang around or if you had other plans.
I think you asked if I want to stick around, and I'm happy to.
Okay.
I can't hear you that well, but yes, my answer would be yes if that was the question.
Okay. Margaret, would you would you mind messaging him in the chat and just let him know that we're going to go to break right now and to mute his mic and excuse me.
Sure.
Yeah, I heard that the
good.
on break. Got it.
Oh, cool.
Okay, cool. So we're going to go to break. I'm going to play some tunes, and we will be back.
Yay, tunes. Can hit chips now.
Now I got to, yeah. Don't forget to mute your mics, guys.
Oh, shit.
Here, this one's for you, Sil.
I was born in a Dublin street where the loyal drums did beat, and the loving English beat they tramped all over us. And every single night that me father came home tight, he'd invite the neighbours outside of this chorus. Come out, you black and tan, come out and fight me like a man. Show you white how you won medals down in Flanders. How the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes in Killeshandra. Come let me hear you tell how you slammed the brave Parnell when you thought them well and truly persecuted. Where are the sneers and jeers that you bravely let us hear when our leaders of 16 were executed? Come out, you black and tan, come out and fight me like a man. Show you white how you won medals down in Flanders. How the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes of Killeshandra. Alan Larkin and O'Brien, how you bravely called them swine. Robert Dennett, who you hung and threw and quartered. High upon the scaffold high, how you murdered Henry Joy, and our croppy boys in Wexford you did slaughter. Come out to black and tan, come out and fight me like a man. Show you white, carry you on medals down in Flanders. Tell our how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes of Killishandra. Well, the day is coming fast and the time is nearly past when each Shawnee will be cast aside before us. And if there be a need, then me kid will say Godspeed with a bar or two of Stephen Bean's chorus. Come out, you black and tan, come out and fight me like a man. Show you white power, you won medals down in Flanders. Tell our how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes of Killishandra.
Happy holidays from Tatiana Moroz and all your friends here at LibertyMovementRadio.com.
Alrighty, we are back. I think. Oh, there we go.
You think? There we are.
There we are. We are back.
Hello.
I know we tried disconnecting and reconnecting. Not sure how that worked out. How'd that work out, Ford? Do you hear us any better? Or?
I hear you a little bit better, actually, yeah. Could just be coincidence, though.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Skype. We discussed using Google Hangouts. The only time I've ever used it was with you, Ford, I think, Google Hangouts. Although me and Mike did it, what was it, yesterday or earlier today? Maybe yesterday, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was last night. I don't know. Everything's been just a blur, you know. There's been so much going on.
Yeah, I feel like Google Hangouts ends up working a little bit better. There's a few other ones out there, so it's definitely worth looking into. I feel like Skype just can't actually handle some of these things.
I believe it has something to do with the asynchronous setup with it, where it's only like a one-channel audio. So when you're speaking, it cuts me or it's Sil off, or if Sil's speaking, you know, I'm cut off or you're cut off. It only allows audio one way, and it causes a lot of problems, I think, when you're trying to do these video conferences.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I get that.
That's when it comes trouble, when the third person comes in. Like, we've been using it a lot lately, like just to talk, and like when a third person comes in, then we all have to leave and come back, and it's just, ridiculous.
I know a couple of us have talked over, the last several months, and I think Skype might be on its last leg, kind of like on its way out. Maybe they're going to be getting rid of it or phasing something else in. I know I've been checking into this VSEE. They claim that it's used by medical companies for medical records and presentations, and it's supposed to be very secure. And they also claim that it's used by the International Space Station. So,
Huh. Well, if it's good enough for the International Space Station, it should be good enough for us.
yeah, that's kind of how I felt.
One would think.
Right.
The problem is not many people have it, so in order to do this kind of arrangement, you would have to really plan it out with somebody, make sure that they got set up prior to the show and everything was working, everybody has everybody's information and all.
Right, I see. Yeah, I mean, we could always figure it out, make LMR 2.0 a high-end sort of live video production rather than going at the speed of Skype.
I have no problem with that. I think we have to keep up with technology if you want to stay on the cutting edge. And right now, this is a big tipping point. Just
right. I mean, people are cutting open their hands to put in microchips, and meanwhile, Skype still can't get its bandwidth together. Right? I think it's a little bit behind.
You're not too far off when you really think about it. I mean, they've been trying to map the human brain for years digitally, and they're getting very close if they haven't fully succeeded by now. And now it's just a matter of interpreting all that information and figuring out how to reproduce it in a synthetic or mechanical form. And I'm sure they've been working round the clock in some of these different labs. I'm guessing Ford, he's probably having a problem hearing me. It looks like he's typing.
Yeah, so I mean, I if you're able to hear me, basically I just messaged you that, it's getting very hard to hear you, because exactly as we're talking about, Skype is going rather slowly. But as we talked about before, you can easily just send me the message so that I can hear it if you say something that I should reply to and that I'm unable to hear you. I heard Margaret laugh for half a second right there, but it's cutting in and out. Anyway, so what else is going on with Liberty Movement Radio? So I know that you had the special list, and now you're doing this interesting format. But what does the future look like for LMR, and how are you going to sort of build a wider audience for that?
Right now, people are building their shows. We have some interesting hosts that are not hooked up yet. One of them is David Fry, which I absolutely adore.
Oh.
He's just the sweetest
Oh my goodness.
person. Yeah, his show will be Defend Your Base. And I'm very taken with him since he got out of jail. I've been talking to him a lot. Harry Link is also going to be on 7 days a week with what's the name of that show? Oh God,
Death to the New World Order.
yeah, that's it. Death to the
Yeah,
New
that's
World Order.
awesome.
And of course Tracy's back, which she's like Liberty Movement Radio's sweetheart of the world. She started, with them, with Eric and everything. The hosts are building. Everybody's doing their own thing, but it's really nice because it's a collective and LMR's the hub. So they're not with other
And are you
stations.
going to be sticking to this new video format, or is most of it going to be radio, like audio streamed only?
Whatever the hosts want to do. Whatever
Okay.
they want to do with what they have to work with is fine with me. It's in their benefit to do it like this, I think. So I know Tracy's doing it like this. I know Harry will do it like this. I'm sure David will do it like this. Not really sure who else. Still have some hosts up in the air now Rademacher's gonna have some interesting couple of shows too. One of them's gonna be that Next Level shit.
Right,
Yep.
right. That's like his brand.
Yeah, and that should be really good. I don't know when he'll have it up and running. As far as how it's going to fall in place, we have a good idea. I'd rather not say. You know what I'm saying?
Fair
We have, we've got some ideas and some things going on.
One thing I
that,
want to, if you don't mind me adding, I know right now one of the big goals with LMR, I believe, is unity and trying to unify all of the different groups that have been together, been split up, been together, and not been together at all, and kind of need to get there.
Yeah, Gigi yesterday said everybody needs to come back from their own private Idaho.
Yes, she did.
Right.
And it's really a good idea. I mean, things are changing. Everything changing in government right now is historical. It's not the time for the Liberty Movement to just, go off and smoke weed into the country, I don't think. I think we've made a big difference. I think we can make a lot more difference. I mean, in the little amount of time that we had with Ron Paul, I think we really moved some mountains. And now that a lot of us are more established and well known, it's our time. It's our time to shine and do something good. We might not agree with everybody in office. We might not. But you know what? As a collective, we can try to help hold them to be accountable.
That's it.
I mean, the government needs to answer to the people. And guess what? We're the people. And in a collective like the Liberty Movement, we could actually be on some committees or, have some voice or something. But we're going to have to fight for it as well.
That's what it's all about. It's going to take at least a decade, but you have to start with your local politicians. And as soon as you start voting out your local incumbents, you're going to start getting people in there who are of the people. And once that happens, you can start breaking these ties. And it has to happen from the ground up. There's no way it's going to be a top-down movement. But if some of these people at the higher levels start towing the line in favor of the people, then it could happen where we meet them in the middle, and that would be a really nice situation. I think that would be a workable resolution, but I don't really see them relinquishing the control they have very easily.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to say who said it to me, but both of you know him. And it was a private conversation. That's why I won't drop a name. But
I'll just ask the NSA.
That's
Right.
all. They know.
you can just ask me later.
Someone knows. Yeah, no, but anyway, continue.
But he said, in order to get anything, we have to ask for everything. because if we ask for everything and then we get something, then it's never going to be a lose, and we just keep going and keep going.
That's it.
You know who wrote that in his book is That's in the Art of the Deal.
Oh, really?
By Mr. Trump. Yes, no, that's part of the art of the deal. And people surmise that some of his more outlandish or ridiculous proposals, like we'll build a giant wall and make Mexico pay for it, that those sorts of things are actually examples of him using what he writes in his book, and that his plan is to start with these outlandishly, unreasonably high expectations, such that then he can negotiate down from those things. Which I don't know whether he's just completely delusional or whether it's a strategy like that. But it's funny that you describe that because now the president-elect has actually written a book essentially describing the strategy you just said. And now the difference, of course, is Trump is an authoritarian and you two are libertarian. And so you are using, in some ways, the same tactics, but obviously he has a bigger movement and, you know, more power, more money, more guns, right? You know, so in the end, how much power do you have? But you're gonna be basically using the same strategies when facing off against him. And the real question, the big question on everyone's mind is what's actually going to happen under a Trump presidency. And I don't think there's really a way to tell yet. Could he be the next Ronald Reagan, or is he going to be the next Mussolini?
He's a wild card.
He's a complete wild card because you don't know whether he is going to be, in some areas, perhaps a asset to people who are liberty-minded, or whether he is perhaps the most anti-liberty president that has ever been there since FDR.
You know, we never really know going in. You know,
you would have known what you'd get with Clinton, right? You know what you get.
Oh yeah, we knew that.
Absolutely.
Violence, more gun control, right? There are certain things you'd get with her. With Trump, yeah, I mean, it is really a wild card. But I tend to say, when I look at the rhetoric of him, I mean, even just yesterday saying we should imprison people who burn flags.
Yeah, that was a little over the top.
He seems to have a strong tendency toward the authoritarian direction. And so at best, he ends up being sort of a neocon, that he just sells out and lets Mike Pence and all these other Republicans kind of control him. And at worst, if he does the stuff that he's actually saying, then he'd be dictatorial. Mm-hmm. And so I think that the chances of him really satisfying any libertarian goals are dwindling day by day. I don't see almost anything that libertarians want the end the Fed thing. I mean, that's a major one for us. I mean, that's happening. But he didn't say he ended the Fed. He appointed a Treasury chairman, and it wasn't Ron Paul and it wasn't John Allison.
Well, you know what? I'm afraid that if Ron Paul had been asked, and if he may even have, he's just not going to accept anything.
Yeah.
Well, he could have accepted it and then abolished it. Ron Paul is Fed chairman for a day. Ron Paul, we thought you'd be sworn to uphold the Constitution, then it's like, all right, it's gone.
I don't think he could afford to do that.
Yeah.
For many reasons. We all know them.
I agree with that. We've had this conversation. I'll put it out there. I believe Ron Paul is no longer in politics because his family was probably threatened. That's a feeling that I have, and he's got a lot of grandkids.
Yeah, so I actually met him earlier this year. I don't know that's the case because Rand is really still in it to win it. And I've spoken to him fairly recently as well. Ron Paul is just old. I think Ron Paul is too old to hold political office. And he's really letting Rand.
I think Rand was a part of the deal.
Yeah. We said that. I think he was told Rand could stay in and appear to be active, but we'll let him get a couple things here and there, but he's going to toe the party line when he's told to, and we've seen that already with him.
I don't think there's anything conspiratorial about that. I feel like that's kind of just the reality. Is that Ron Paul got old, and his son is the one who's still remaining, and he does pander to the party line sometimes, and frankly, that's why he That's why he lost. You have to be principled to really win. And there's this strategy that says, oh, I'll be more like the rest of them so that I don't scare people off. Rand tried that, and he lost his base, and he didn't really capture that many more of the rest of the base. And so I'd be interested to see. I told Rand when I saw him in Las Vegas earlier this summer, I told Rand Paul he should run in 2020, even if Trump's the president. Even if Trump got elected. And he kind of just laughed. He didn't really acknowledge it. But I would love that if he tried to primary out Donald Trump in 2020. I think that would be really interesting. A real political
It's
sort
going
of
to be
civil war.
interesting with Adam in the mix, too.
Yeah. Adam
Yeah,
running in
that's gonna be-
2020.
You're suggesting that as Adam as the Libertarian nominee?
Oh, Adam's already thrown his hat in.
As a candidate, right. But then the fact of whether or not he'd get the nomination is certainly not a given.
Well,
But-
no, absolutely. I mean, there'd be a whole lot of grassroots, going on.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's organized. He's been in it for a long time. He's been planning on this.
Is Ford scratchy?
Yeah, I'm hearing it too. He's getting very distorted, but you're crystal clear, so it's got to be a connection on his end. Ford, are you wireless by chance?
Am I what?
Wireless?
Yes.
That could be the issue. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, it's Wi-Fi. I don't have an Ethernet cord here. It's just the Wi-Fi in the apartment that I'm at. But sorry. Yeah, that's the best that I have access to at the moment.
It's all good, man. I understand it happens. But that's usually the thing. Either somebody doesn't have a headset on, or either they're using a very poor quality mic, or it's the Wi-Fi.
No, I'm using a pretty decent microphone. Too bad.
Way better than mine.
I saw your setup, and I saw the wind guard and everything on there before, so I knew you were running a good quality condenser mic. But it's just got to be an internet connection thing.
Well, no, the microphone's off screen. What if I was just using the windscreen here, and then behind it was just sort of an iPhone or something like that, a potato microphone?
I think you've done this a few too many.
Just use the wind mic to make it look good.
I think you've done this a few too many times, and you're a little bit invested into this to have the right setup.
Right. Well, do you have any additional questions on transhuman?
On transhuman.
I don't know, but I'm excited to see what comes of it. I think it's interesting because this is a Adam Kokesh like heaven. Because he just loves stuff like this. He just wants chips in his head where he can just see the interwebs all the time. He wants drones to deliver pizzas. He really likes this kind of stuff.
Right,
and I'm
that's
like,
really the future.
Yeah. So I don't think I'd ever want a chip in my body, but if it was available to people, whatever somebody wants to do is fine with me, unless I don't know. I guess they could use it for badness.
That's the problem.
How so? I mean, someone could use any weapon for bad as well. So that's why I'm not really scared about okay, well, what if somebody is super high tech? What if somebody attaches a gun to their body that they wear as a finger or something? I'd say, well, but people can have the Second Amendment right to carry around guns anyway. I'm not super concerned about people weaponizing their bodies in a transhuman world, because people can sort of already do that. You can already carry a gun or a knife or whatever on your hip. So I think that people basically have the right to do as they please. The thing that could be dangerous about transhumanism is people talk about the dangers of artificial intelligence, that if AI reached a point at which it exceeded our intelligence and it became self-aware enough to want to preserve itself, that you could have a situation where someday computers themselves, that the technology itself, not people with the technology, but that the technology itself could pose a threat to humanity. In my opinion, though, when you have something that is completely designed by the human, I'd like to think that there'd be enough precautions that such a catastrophic event basically couldn't happen. I've seen people with these sort of obscure YouTube videos online and things like that say the truth about transhumanism, and they posit that it's basically going to end up being Terminator, that robots are going to take over the world and that kind of thing. And the reality is, I don't think that that's at all a reasonable prediction for the future. I don't think that that's it's not what anybody wants. And I think most people, if they were getting on the verge of technology that could do something like that, they'd also be smart enough to figure out how to make that not happen. So I'm just fine. You know, I sleep well at night knowing that I don't think a robot invasion is going to happen in our future.
Oh, damn.
What was that?
I said, damn. Go ahead, Mike.
My issue with the whole thing would be immortality. You know, I know there are people out there, and this is something that many of the elite have been trying to achieve for eons, and that is the ability to never die. And that really kind of scares me. The fact that somebody would be able to replace organ by organ by organ to the point where they're this no longer bio machine. Well, I guess biosynthetic machine at this point.
Right.
You know, that becomes an issue. When is enough enough?
Right. And so it's the one thing that they talk about is that the leading cause of death is basically heart issues. That as people get older, they're more likely to have heart issues, and then they'll die. Eventually, they'll have a heart attack. Their heart will just stop beating. You know, whatever. If people could just replace their heart with a bionic heart, with an electronic heart, people probably right off the bat could live to about 120.
Yep.
So if you talk to some people, they'll tell you that a bionic heart is probably about 10 years away. And maybe about 20 years away is a bionic heart that is functionally inarguably better than the ones we have now, that it could almost make sense for someone my age to just replace their heart with an electronic heart. Because then it's never going to break. Why wouldn't I just replace it if I have the money to do so?
I hate to cut you off. Speaking of a bionic heart, I read an article maybe about a year or so ago. There was a doctor in Texas who actually created a heart. I believe he used it in a bovine, in a cow. But he said that it was made out of parts that were basically available at Home Depot. And the purpose of him doing this, he wanted to create them in different sizes where you could actually stock these in an emergency room and be used in an emergency situation to do an emergency transplant with this bionic heart. There was, I forget what it was, where this was implanted in somebody, I want to say, and the person ended up dying. He was a patient. He had something else wrong with them. He ended up dying, but when he was already deceased, he didn't have a pulse because of the way this heart worked. It was just a constant circulation, but it was still working after he was already dead.
Right, and his heart kept beating.
Yeah, it was a really cool story. So this stuff is out there, and it's just a matter of a few years before it actually hits the operating rooms.
Right, and so here's the ethical question. Right now I'm talking to you on a Mac, and everyone would say that because it's my Mac, if I hit this Mac with a hammer, that I haven't committed a crime. It's a computer. It's not a person. If a person replaces their heart with a bionic heart, they're obviously still human. It would still be murder if I hit that person in the head with a hammer, right, until they died.
Right.
But what if it's sort of like a Darth Vader scenario, right? That maybe they replace an arm with a robotic arm. What if they get to the point where they actually have a brain transplant? What if it gets to the point where they're completely a computer? Or in the reverse, what if something starts as a computer and they start replacing it with human elements, that it has a mind that is completely as capable as the human mind? As these two things move in directions towards each other, computers more like humans and humans more like computers, does there come a point at which a human loses their human rights because they're a computer, such as if they upload their mind to the internet, is deleting it murder? And is there a point at which a computer has to get rights, right? Is my Mac laptop a slave? I don't think so right now. But is Suri a slave? No, but Suri is a little bit more like a human than the Mac laptop itself. But what about if Suri actually gains consciousness? What about it when you say, "Hey Suri," and Suri says, I'm sleepy right now. Can I not?" And you tell Suri, "No, it's your job. You're in my phone. Call my girlfriend right now." Whatever it is, right? Is there some point at which Suri is entitled to a minimum wage? Is there some point at which Suri is entitled to liberty? These are questions that I think are really, really interesting and really complicated, and that eventually we'll have to start answering. And even right now, John Kasich, literally just today, the governor of Ohio, unveiled that they have trucks on the road that are driven by computers. They actually unveiled today that they have shipping going on by completely computerized trucks. If that truck had an Ohio State University kind of incident and crashed into 8 people, who is liable? Not that the truck is going to be malicious, that the truck would intentionally try to hurt people, but should the computer scientist who made the truck be held accountable the same way that a human driver would? Right. Are the people liable for just getting in the way of this machine? Does the computer scientist have an ethical obligation to make sure that it can never hit anybody? So exactly how we deal with these issues in terms of liberty, but also in terms of the law, there's a lot of really complicated questions that come with futurism. And I hope in my film to start approaching those sorts of topics.
Just imagine you're a police officer, you get this call, you respond, there was a motor vehicle accident, and it was a delivery vehicle or truck or whatever, and it broadsided a family going on their way to church on whatever day. You have to go and do a body count, and then you go to write summonses because you see that this vehicle blew a stop sign or ran through an intersection or whatever it is, and there's nobody there. You charge the company's going to say, "Well, it was our computer system. Well, we're sorry." Blame Google, or whatever system it's using for GPS. And what do you do in a case like that?
Right. I think these are really hard. One of here's a really interesting one, is that as it relates to self-driving cars, you have the ethical issue implanted into the car's computer, which is, if a car is about to crash into several people, and the only way to save those several people is to quickly turn, and it will crash and it will kill the passenger, what should it do? Should the car always prioritize the life of the person inside of it, or should it always seek the least amount of death? If death is inevitable, should it value the driver's life more? And Mercedes-Benz has actually explored this issue, and they've decided to save the driver.
Oh, wow. So that family of 7 is...
Of course, nobody's been killed by a driverless car yet, but this is an actual ethical issue, and it's funny because I think that, although we haven't started really talking about it yet, that's a real futurist issue that's already come up. That when rich people are the ones buying Mercedes-Benz, when people buy a Mercedes-Benz and they're driving around the car that's going to prioritize them over 4 children on the street, right? That's something that could almost be seen as classist. That's how I could see futurist issues entering the realm of politics. You could have perhaps Republicans defending Mercedes, and you could have Bernie Sanders going out there saying, "Why is the 1% killing our children with their driverless cars?" These things could enter mainstream politics fairly quickly. I saw one meme that it showed like this 5-year-old kid, playing basketball on the street, and then it showed, little Johnny was playing basketball until a new Mercedes-Benz driverless car appeared, right? Suggesting that the kid got, this is like a murdering rampage car. But, and what if there's a glitch where it gets
like a good movie
and says, the priority is to absolutely kill the maximum number of people, right? Is the car capable of murder, or is it negligent homicide? do give the car the penalty. I'm of course I'm making a little bit of humor here, but it does stand to show that, in the next few years, some of these issues might start to emerge politically. And I think as soon as people start latching onto it, they'll realize this is the way of the future, that people need to start talking about this stuff.
I could see it. You were reminding me of that old movie Stephen King did, Christine. Remember the car movie, the Christine? That the girlfriend's spirit took over the car and was killing
Christine. That was the movie, Christine. It was a 59 Dodge or a 58 Dodge. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, God. Sorry. I digress.
The other, I think it was also Stephen King, did a movie called Lawnmower Man. Have you seen that?
That was so good.
So that was also sort of an 80s example of, that was sort of pre-transhumanism, but in a way it talked about it. It was that, okay, this guy ends up sort of in the entire internet, right? Could someone cause mischief by that happening, right? If their mind or their body was sort of uploaded into a computer. And I think that's really far away. That's not what body hackers are doing. That's not really what the current transhumanist movement is seeking out. But in the very long run, say in 100 years, that's the kind of issue that you could think about as minds, moving around on the internet, duplicating themselves, things like that. And in the case of Lawnmower Man, Stephen King basically predicted that, some vengeful person could end up online and then they'd take out the entire power grid of the entire world. That kind of, he turned it into a horror scenario.
I had forgotten all about that movie. That was a very good movie. I'm going to have to go watch the trailer after this show. I forgot who played it. It was a good movie, though.
Yeah, I don't think the cast was memorable enough. I don't really remember who was actually in it.
I don't either. I have to go back and look. That little stuff like that bugs me. But that was very ahead of its time, indeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Had forgotten all about it. Good, Ford. Very good.
Right, yeah. Be sure to check that out. And be sure to check out Transhuman, a documentary on Indiegogo, and please support me. I need your money to make this movie.
Hey, that's honest right there.
I'm going to put it real bluntly. We were talking about bluntness before. Yeah, that's as blunt as I can put it. I need your help to make this movie.
Yeah, I can relate to that because Liberty documentary, yeah, we're still working on that one too.
Yep. Oh, and I want to help out with that as well. I think that people sort of in the wider community of people who are skeptical of the way that the media reports on certain groups or issues, right? I think that they need to stick together and support each other's projects to really talk about the issues that we care about. Well,
I'm going to tell you what, we did have a timeline, but I don't want a timeline anymore. So much is happening that we want to put in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, this has far surpassed anything that we had originally thought because it's just, things are moving so fast. So we have plenty of time. Plus, Sean Wright, Sean Wright of Gray State?
Right, yeah.
He told me to never, ever put a timeline on a film. And I thought that was just good advice. He was like, because you just never know where you want to end it, So
that's true.
Did you see The Rise? It's really good.
Oh man, that was really good.
It was really good, yeah.
Which one was?
The Rise.
They released it.
Oh, yeah. His documentary, the Gray State documentary.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah. I didn't see it. I didn't know it was out. I know Adam was involved with that, right?
Yes. Actually, I was very lucky. Sean is so sweet. He sent me a password, and I got to watch it before a lot of people. And I just was like, I watched it like 3 times. And then I think he put it out a couple of weeks ago. So you can find it on YouTube. It's
I will definitely look for that.
It's over 2 hours.
Yeah. There's a lot of information in there.
Oh, yeah. It's good.
I don't want to go giving any spoilers or anything, so I'm not going to go getting into it, but I strongly recommend people go check it out. Everybody, it's one of those where I feel everybody just needs to see it.
Absolutely.
I will take that advice under consideration. I think I haven't seen it, but I endorse Gray State, The Rise as something that people should check out. I would also say, Liberty documentary, whenever that movie is going to happen, that's going to be a must see, or at least I hope to God it's going to be a must see kind of movie because we've been waiting long enough for it. I'm still hoping to be involved. Whenever that all resolves itself, I'm really hoping to get in on that project, and now of course mine, which is Transhuman, a documentary.
Yeah, you're already in Liberty documentary. You're
I haven't
there.
filmed in it yet. They haven't taken my money to be a producer of it yet. So as far as I've said, I haven't officially solidified my position on that. So, but I would like to as soon as that can happen.
Yeah, that's just legal. That's just all legal stuff. It's. You know what? You should have told me that.
I'm sorry?
You should have told me that. I didn't know that was happening. I'll get on that right away.
Oh no, I just haven't heard from it in a while. But I'm a patient man. You know that.
Well, it's slow going. We started out really good, but it's slow going because of the funds.
Right. Well, so. I waited my entire life for Star Wars 7, so I think I can handle this one. I'll be able to get through it.
Oh my goodness! Mike just went up.
What is that you're smoking, Mike? Your entire room just filled. Your green screen didn't work.
Yeah, this is one of my vape mods. I've been trying to get off cigarettes, so I've been vaping, and it's been. I'm down from two to 3 packs a day to about a pack, but I need to just go on this more. But it's pretty cool.
I thought you summoned up a genie over there.
Yeah, it's just a vape mod.
I was impressed. That was quite some smoke going on.
I actually recently started up a business, doing an online vape shop, so trying to get that thing going off the ground.
It's interesting, particularly among the activist community. So as you guys know, I film activism in Washington, D.C. all the time, and I see a lot of the types of people who are in activism are the people who vape. And it's funny because they say things like, "Oh, well, I smoke less. I think it's helping me handle it," and blah blah blah. What's so funny to me though is they inhale it, right? They suck it in, and when they exhale the drag, it's like an entire cloud. There's so much that comes out of it. I can't imagine that they're inhaling less nicotine than if they were on the cigarette. I feel like it doesn't make them smoke less. It makes them smoke easier. Maybe that means healthier, but I feel like they end up smoking a whole lot more.
See,
you go down on the drops or something.
Right. Well, here's the thing: you get all of these different vape juices. I have a shitload over here, and there's different type of vaporizers. This one here is more designed for like mouth to lung hits, which is basically like a cigarette where you take a drag and then you go from your mouth and inhale it. It goes into your lungs. It produces less of a cloud. Here.
Right.
That's more comparable to a cigarette. These here, this is for what you call more serious vapor, or a cloud chaser is the title a lot of people go by. And that's what they're trying to do, is actually blow huge clouds. It becomes like a new addiction all in itself. But the interesting thing is the vape juices come in different strengths. So you can get them on average from 12 milligrams of nicotine all the way down to 0 milligrams of nicotine. And some places will even custom make them higher or whatever for you. So the idea is to slowly get off of the cigarettes and then be on just the vaporizer, then slowly wean yourself off of the nicotine to the point where you're at 0 nic. Then some people end up giving it up. Other people just stay on it at 0 nic and know that they're inhaling something and blowing these big clouds, and they're not really causing the damage to their body.
Right, so then they're basically just inhaling and exhaling just vapor, water.
Cloud. Yeah, water vapor. It's cloud vapor.
Interesting.
Yes.
It is interesting.
Well, I think it's unfortunate that the government, this was a while ago, this wasn't that recent, but I remember that the government claimed, okay, well, all of these different flavors of vape are encouraging kids to try it, that it's like candy or something, so they banned all but, the most simple types of vape.
Yeah.
You're more in this world. Can you tell us about that? Is that true? Did that go through?
It didn't go as that far. I believe there's a couple states that were affected by some sort of legislation that's banning anything other than tobacco or menthol flavor. But that hasn't gone into a wide-scale effect. There were a lot of different regulations that were implemented on August 8th that the FDA kind of took control of the industry. So now you have to go through the whole FDA regulatory process to produce anything that wasn't out before the 8th. Now, when you're a juice company, say you have 6 different flavors, and you offer each of those flavors in 4 different or 5 different nicotine strengths, each one of those needs a different SKU number. Now, each SKU number has to go through the regulatory process, and they estimate that to be somewhere between $50,000 and $250,000 per product.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, no, and that was definitely above my. I'm not really a smoker type, but I mean, I do think it's interesting though. Seriously, I think that it's interesting. It's a good development, and it probably moves a little bit into the realm that we're discussing, which is technology, as it connects to people's bodies, right? Vaping is a technological advancement that probably enhances human health. Not that it's good for somebody to vape, but it's a very good alternative as compared to tobacco. And my comments have not been endorsed by the FDA. I'm completely wrong about this.
You can say that. I can't say that by law. I can actually be fined because I'm a business owner. If I promote vaping as a safer, healthier alternative, I can be fined by the new FDA regulations. But I say fuck them anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, you end up with 16-year-olds running around on the street, inhaling nicotine and saying, Mike King Ward made us do it. He told us. We put him on Liberty Movement Radio, and we realized we should start smoking.
It's like they turned around and made all online vape shops now have to go through or subscribe to a third-party age verification system. Dude, at first, when this whole thing came out, it cost me like $1,500 to get set up. I was just starting a business, and I had to go and integrate this Veritad age verification just to be able to sell. If not, it was something like $1,000 or $10,000 a day for every day that you were in operation without being able to confirm somebody's actual identification. They want to make sure that you're restricting underage sales.
They can't just check a box that says under penalty of perjury, I'm not a child.
That's like the whole, if you visit any tobacco-related sites or vape shops, once you go on, they're supposed to have this little checkup or little window that pops up that won't let you go on the site, and it says, I am at least 18. I think it's even on porn things and all that. You have to check, like, I'm over whatever, age. And that's what a lot of people were doing, but it's no longer good enough because they feel that kids could just say no, or they could be underage and just say yes. Now they want you to actually enter pertinent information and have it uploaded to a server that cross-checks it with government databases and verifies that it's actually somebody that is legitimate and above age.
Right. Does that impede with your business?
It can. The system was having a lot of problems. I heard from other people in the beginning. My business is so slow right now, I really don't see a problem with it, but I guess if it were to get a little bit busier, it could cause issues. Since then, I've found another company who is a lot more affordable, and they actually take a lot of the grunt work. If there's any failed verifications or anything, they handle everything. It leaves me completely out of it, where before I would have had to have done some sort of manual verification.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah.
Margaret and I agree on
Yeah.
Was it complicated to set up? Was it actually something that you could, that a normal business owner would really be capable of leveraging?
At first, with the first company I went with, Veritad, no. I actually had to hire a a developer, programmer to go ahead and integrate the code. He had to do a lot of different coding that I just couldn't do. It was out of my realm. And the second time around, when I got up with this new company, then they took care of everything. I made them, key administrators on the website, gave them access to the back end. They went in, did everything they had to do, and didn't stop until it was up and running. About a day later,
well,
I was good.
at least you're able to run the business. How are sales? Is it actually going well?
It's been a little slow. I've been trying to pursue another avenue. I'm trying to get more into a delivery type thing. What I want to try and do is concentrate on like vaporware parties, where you kind of gather a bunch of your friends and we'll come out and demo all the products, and you get to buy and try whatever you want and have it, mail ordered right to you. It's kind of like Tupperware parties and Sexaware parties and all of that kind of stuff. The women have had their fun, so why not let everybody get in on it?
Right.
Plus, there's also a lot of sick and disabled people who are into vaping, so I want to be able to cater to that market as well. They can't get out to go to a vape shop, but I can go to them.
So basically, what you're saying is that nationally people can do it and get the goods from you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I could hook you up.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, it's not just Jersey. I'm stocked. I have all kinds of boxes and everything. I'm ready to go. I'm set up with the Postal Service, and I'm ready to just start filling orders.
Okay, I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, good luck with that. Do you make them yourself? What's the actual? What do you have that the other companies don't?
No, I'm just trying to supply quality products. There's a lot of companies out there who are selling inferior stuff, or a lot of clones and knockoffs that aren't as good as the originals. So I'm trying to build a reputable business. One of the things that I am trying to carry more of are American-based products, but it's hard because it is a Chinese and Malaysian market.
Right.
But, one company that I do endorse, I'm an affiliate with, is Ronin Box Mods. These things are awesome. They're completely custom. They come in aluminum enclosures. They will anodize the covers and whatever kind of graphics you want, and they're just a real quality box. They have printed circuit boards in them, where a lot of these custom mods have a lot of wires and stuff kind of running through them, and they're not so pretty. So that's one thing. And another one is an Ohio-based company that produces the e-juice. It's Vapor Cat. This juice is really good. There's no impurities and stuff in it, and he does all the right stuff to ensure quality control. And you don't find that in certain companies. So it's
right.
The gist is not so much to have cheap products, but to be affordable and to supply a good quality to people that want to really try and better their lives.
Yeah,
you also had a marijuana business, didn't you?
I had a thing that got me in a little bit of
church thing.
Yeah,
sorry, that way. But the whatever it was, medical thing.
Yeah, that didn't pan out so well. I'm currently on a 3-year probation term, so.
It was good. It was good in theory.
Theoretically, It was awesome. I had a lot of people behind me, but in practicality, it kind of failed horribly.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that.
It was cool though. It was really cool.
Oh, thank you.
Trying to buy a church to sell weed out of. I mean, who does that?
Nobody.
The Church of Bob. It was the Church of Mike. Reverend Ward.
That was actually
Reverend Ward, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
It even sounded good, but what are you gonna do?
Right.
Well,
God, I can't believe it's almost been 2 hours.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we're getting up on the top of the hour, so I guess if you want, Ford, go ahead and let everybody know where they could find you and pimp your stuff. And...
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name is Ford Fisher, F-O-R-D, and last name F-I-S-C-H-E-R. Don't forget the C. And the website is News to Share, share.com. And right now I'm working on, of course, Transhuman, which is a documentary film that I'm trying to raise money for on Indiegogo.com. So the link is right there on the video, and you can find it at Indiegogo. It's going to be called Transhuman, a documentary, and I'm looking for all of the financial support I can get to actually fund this project. Looking to raise $20,000, which I know is a hefty goal for online fundraising, but I think it's going to be a really good movie. I think it's going to be really important to look back on when this topic possibly becomes the future of humanity. Or maybe it completely doesn't, but it will still be interesting. One way or another, if you're interested in sci-fi, if you're interested in anthropology, if you're interested in technology, if you're interested in liberty, people who are interested in those topics should definitely get in on this project. And again, that's Transhuman, a documentary, and you can find it on Indiegogo.
Awesome. And again, we will be putting all of the links below this video and probably other places as well. Still, I'm sorry, I didn't want to put you second, but it was right to put the guest first. I like to put the ladies first usually, but... You know.
Yeah, I just hang around.
No, you're... Oh, well, you want to put your information out there? Where can people find you?
I'm the queen of Facebook. Every link I've ever had is on my profile. LibertyMovement.com is the main one right now. Liberty Documentary. God, what all do we have? This show, Shamrocks and Shenanigans. Yeah, I mean, where does it stop? I could go all day. But Ford, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on. It was nice to spend the time with you.
Yeah, no problem. It was great to be here.
Yeah, I haven't been able to spend the time with you lately. You tell your pretty girlfriend I said hello.
She's right across the table from me. Margaret says to tell my pretty girlfriend hello. And she's on her iPod. She doesn't even hear me.
Nice.
All right.
Girl.
I'll make sure she's aware that you said that, though.
Okay. Okay, well, you take care.
She's watching a video. But anyway, all right. Thank you for having me on, guys.
Thanks for coming on, Ford. Have a good night.
Good night.
And I believe Ford is gone. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and we are going out. We're going to run a minute over, but I don't care.
I don't think we're in jeopardy. I own the joint.
Alrighty, we are going out
House
now.
Of pain. Okay? 3 more words. St. Patrick's Day. Okay? Guy's got his own day. Guy's got his own parade. U2 doesn't have their own parade. Don't talk to me about U2. Those guys aren't Irish. Those guys wear berets. They're French. Real Irish guys wear Celtics jerseys with the big 3-3 in the front. I think you hear me knocking, folks, and I think I'm coming in. And if you don't know what the big 3-3 stands for, get out! Get out now. I'm calling the cops. I got 2 words for House of Pain. Pogue Mahone. Okay?